welcome back to Gerodynamics. Okay, so I did a whole like 5 videos on the State of the Union, and somehow, even though I thought I was done, I realized I never really touched on this. So let's do a short little one here. Maybe touch on a couple things here. Uh, the I talked about how Al Green got walked out, kicked out. Not quite sure exactly what happened there with his sign situation. I talked about how the Democrats refuse to stand and applaud for things that really they should be standing and applauding for. What I didn't really talk about was just the decorum in general. Is just crazy. They're yelling, they're screaming, they're cursing, they're flipping him off, they're um, just acting completely inappropriate, completely crazy. And I look back and I remember specifically Obama was having a State of the Union speech. And I think the guy's name was Joe Walsh, was the politician, the representative, I believe. I don't think he was a senator. I think he was a representative. Um, in response to one of the claims that he made about the Affordable Care Act, not I think it was not being a something that could be used by illegal immigrants. He yelled out, "You lied," right? And it was the most traumatic thing that's ever possibly happened to any president ever whatsoever, way worse than assassinations and all that, right? And Democrats cried about this thing for years after. You can still see them complaining about it to today. And it was such a huge deal. He yelled out 1 or 2 words, "You lied," at a point where Obama actually literally said a lie, right? Because the Affordable Care Act can be used by illegal immigrants, especially if they have children that are here that are, considered citizens because they were born in the United States. Anyways, um, and now from there to here, like this is no big deal. Like throwing up the middle finger, yelling, screaming, cussing, basically having a riot in this in the State of the Union is completely fine now. Apparently, um, you saw a couple of you know, inappropriate shouting. A couple of instances of inappropriate shouting during Joe Biden's 4 years. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene did one. I think Lorena Boebert or whatever her name is did one. But it wasn't like the half of the chamber yelling and screaming and acting a mess. During the State of the Union address, like we're seeing here with Trump. And we saw this, not to this degree, obviously, but we saw this in Trump's last term. So we just really, really need to ratchet that back. Not everybody is like that. Of course, you have some people who show some respect. The old school politicians that have been there forever. Schumer just had a freaking nasty look on his face the whole time and was slouched down. He wasn't doing anything to make him stand out. But he obviously doesn't support Trump, and he's not going to, sit up and look like he's excited to be there. But even Schumer was like not doing anything terribly bad. So you see, like those old school politicians kind of trying to keep decorum. You have a guy like John Fetterman who actually showed respect to Trump. Obviously, they disagree on tons of things, but he's going to respect Trump while he's there. And he's just kind of like a normal dude. So of course, he's not one of these crazy people like Talib, whatever her name is, and Ilhan Omar, and all these people that just can't control themselves. So yeah, so this is what we see. This is the point we've gotten to. And what I want to know is this going to continue on after Trump? Is this specifically a Trump TDS, as it were? Is this specifically a Trump phenomenon? Are we going to see like our next president's JD Vance, right? And are they going to do the same stuff to JD Vance? Are they going to do the same stuff if it's Marco Rubio? Are they going to do the same stuff if it's um, anybody else? It doesn't matter. In the next Republican, are they going to just keep acting like this, or is it specifically because Trump is just so um, gets so under their skin? that they just can't stand. They can't control themselves. What do you think? Do you think it's going to keep going, or is it just going to keep getting worse? Is it going to get better? What do you think on that note? I know there was one other thing I wanted to touch on here since I was talking about the State of the Union address again. Um, Goodness. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. If it comes to my mind, I'll do another short little one like I did this time. Again, overall, I think the State of the Union went well. Oh yeah, the after statistics. You're seeing poll after poll after poll talking about how positively people are viewing the State of the Union address. In fact, a lot of the polls show the before and the after, and it's huge increases. Um, you know, the positivity, not of the administration, or not of the direction of the country, specifically of the speech. And so a lot of people do think he had a good speech, do think it went well. And I think this is just the one of the steps moving in the right direction to make sure that this is going to be a strong midterm for Republicans and for Trump specifically. Could it go the other direction? Sure, it could, especially if the messaging on the economy doesn't get right. Um, that's just how it is. They could lose the midterm. Is it going to be a crushing blow? No, no. No matter what, even if he loses majority in either the House or the Senate, doubt he loses it in both. And and if he does lose one, it's not going to be by a huge swing. Um, and then coming back in, so that's going to be 2026. Coming back in 2028, we shall see. Could the president shift back over to the Democrats? It's possible. It's a seesaw political system that we have. Although I really do think it's going to be J.D. Vance. Could it be Marco Rubio? Sure. Could it be someone else? Sure. None of the Democrats, I've seen polling on that too. None of the Democrats are polling well. Gavin Newsom's not polling well. AOC's not polling well. Kamala Harris is like looking like one of the top choices, and she's not polling well because she never does. It's not going to be a good election in 2028 for the Dems. So they really do need to win this midterm, and I don't know that they will. I hope they don't. And then after 2028, oh my goodness, after the the census and the changes where California is going to lose representatives, New York's going to lose representatives, Texas and Florida are going to gain representatives. The what is that going to be? The 2032 election is going to be ugly for for the Democrats, whether they have a Democrat president or a Republican president. 2032 is going to be ugly for the Dems, and I love it. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.